Hi there. Welcome to the Pruscott podcast. My name is Megan Prusco, and I'm a residential and multifamily realtor here in Edmonton, Alberta. Today, we are speaking to the Wayne Hillier, a seasoned real estate investor who uses multiple platforms to educate other investors on how to make better business decisions and sound investments. He has his own podcast called the Real Estate Investing Morning Show that he co-hosts with his wonderful wife, Gabby. And we talk about the realities of what it's like being a real estate investor. A lot of people think that it is completely passive and that it's easy money and that it's very safe. And while it can be, it's usually not, especially when you first start. So we talk about things that maybe you should be aware of before you jump in with both feet. I hope you enjoy the conversation just as much as I did. Welcome, Wayne, to the Pruscott podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to get into this discussion. We were talking a little bit before about like what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited. I do want to pump your ego up a little bit. Obviously, as a realtor, I run into a lot of mentorship people and groups and both students and mentors. And something that I personally admire about your investment group that you have for training is that it's not super salesy. A lot of the real estate coaching programs, they're like, spend 30 to 60 grand for a weekend so you can network among high net worth individuals and you'll become a millionaire if you just, meet people after paying for the 60 grand getaway on a boat. And I feel like that's almost like Sharky a little bit, just very salesy. But you're like, hey, here are products you can buy if you want, but they are affordable. But I'm more of just here to help you. And
Mhm.
I'm here for you more than I'm here for a paycheck to profit off of you. I have my own business that's running well investment. I don't need to feed off of you guys to pay me because what I'm doing works. So that's why I am eligible to teach you how it works.
Mhm. Yeah, it's it tends to attract the right type of people, and
Mhm.
that was the intention behind it. Was one, I also want to always be authentic and want to be real, and if I can teach you how to do it for free, we do free podcasts every morning. You can come in, ask any questions you want, free coaching, anything. I've learned that it's not the information, it's about the proximity to us. That's the most valuable thing, is
Yep.
the little things that we've learned, the wisdom that we can share along the way, the guidance that really separates us. But some people, they just want to be a part of a community, or they want to run to the back room and feel like they're a part of something. That's for them, you know what? But when I kind of offer the way that we do it, like you said, it really attracts a different type of people, and that's the type of people I'm trying to attract. Is the
Mhm.
people that would just want to cut through the BS and let's just get right to it. Show me the nuts and bolts because I want to take action right now. And that's the people I want to deal with. I don't want people that want to be like have this false belief that, or this misconception that it's all super easy and then there's some magic formula and you're going to be a millionaire this weekend.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out.
Because you and Gabby, you and your wife, you guys founded REI Masters, Real Estate Investing Masters. So that's your coaching program that you
Hmm.
have. But what are your other credentials that you have that make you an expert to talk to about this?
That's a really good question. I don't really have any other credentials other than my
Credentials?
experience.
Your podcast?
Oh,
What did
okay,
you
the
say you had
podcast.
like
Okay.
980
I was
episodes or something?
I don't have a bachelor's of anything. There's no background in, I'm not a realtor. I don't have any license or anything like that. But yes, a podcast host. Yeah. Whatever that's worth, I guess.
Real estate morning show.
The
Yeah.
real
You've been
estate
doing it for
investing
how
morning
many
show.
years now?
I've been doing it for 2008, 6 years.
Yeah. And
Six
then
years.
credentials, you don't know what other credentials you have. You just wrote a book, man.
I'm a
How do
best
you not use that as a credential? Oh my God.
I'm a best-selling author.
You
That's still
are.
fresh. That's fresh. That's fresh.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. I'm not a salesperson. Best-selling author, one of the top podcasts in Canada for real estate investing. Yeah, and I suppose very well regarded, or I regarded coach as well. Yeah, I guess it's really awkward for me to talk about myself like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Um,
talk about you for you. So your book that just came out, it's only digital right now. I looked on Amazon. It just came out like a couple weeks ago, like very, very fresh. And I think it already
mhm.
has like 36 or 50 five-star reviews on Amazon already. I snooped on you.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's doing
that's
really
a
good.
5% rule, right?
Yes, the 5% rule, a cash flow test for Canadians. That's one of our big pieces of our coaching program that we really kept behind the paywall there for a while. It was like a big component of how to be a successful real estate investor, and we kept it for our students. But then Gabby and I had a conversation about it, and you know what? We just said, let's just let's just let it out. Let's just let everybody have it because there's been so much going on in the industry over the last, well, for a long time, but more so in the last 6 years.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of bad stuff happening in the industry and a lot of people losing money, a lot of people getting taken advantage of. And I just feel like had they understood that test, then so many people would have been able to survive all of the crazy things that have happened in Canada, you know, between COVID-19 and oil prices crashing in 2016 and 2022 with the interest rates. Like all of this, like so many people could have weathered those storms and they could have came out. But they didn't. So, you know, we just decided, no, let's share this for like not for free. Obviously, it's like a $6 ebook. But you're right, the paperback is coming very soon. But you know what? Everybody needs access to this, and we're gonna like again, just part of that whole mission of just like giving it all away for free, so that everybody can make the right decisions. And then if they want proximity to us and they want to join our program, whoever wants it, it's there. But I'm not going to pressure anyone.
I feel like that perfectly ties into what we're going to be discussing today, which is while real estate can be a very effective and wise tool to use for generational wealth or retiring early and just diversifying your portfolio, that can be a fantastic tool. But there is another side to it that I think especially new investors or want to be investors don't see, or they just don't register it. And then they end up buying a property and they're like, oh, what did I do? But had they have known, then they would have been better off. So that's what I want to talk about with you. But before we do that, one last credential thing for
Sure.
you. What is your real estate portfolio made up of, and how long have you been investing for?
Nearly 15 years now. Um, it's made up of lots of different types of deals. So a combination of rent to own, fix and flips, uh, wholesaling and assignments. I don't do full time. It's just kind of like whenever I have a deal, I'll assign them. So a lot of years I've made six figures in wholesaling assignments, but I don't actively like do the whole wholesaling thing. And then we have our buy and holds in the residential space. My preference is in residential real estate.
Yep.
So a combination of things, seller financing. We've got lots of seller financing deals as well, agreements for sale and vendor take back mortgages. So a combination of things, and it really over the years, you know, when we were getting started and we didn't have much money, we would do certain strategies in order to build up equity quickly. But then we kind of transitioned into other strategies as our net worth and resources grew, and then got into joint ventures and stuff. So we've kind of always kind of shifted and adapted with our resources at that time, what we were capable of doing, but then as well with what the market was doing. Because you, as you know, the market also shifts, and some
Hmm.
things used to work, but they don't work anymore. So
Like the
we used to be.
1% rule.
Yes, absolutely. We used to be heavy into adding secondary suites
Mhm.
into existing houses, but we don't do that anymore because it doesn't make any sense. So we got a very complex but very organized portfolio of lots of different types of strategies and deals.
Yeah, that's great. Let's dive into some of the questions that I have for you. Starting off with, what is one of the first rude awakenings that you had? Like you purchased one of your first rental properties, and you're like, oh, oh no, what did I do? How could I have prevented this? That now you have prevented on future deals.
Um, you know, it was the first three tenants that we got. We didn't know what we know now about screening. We didn't know what we know now about filing systems and administrative work. It was just like when we took it on, we thought, okay, we found the tenant, everything looked, you know, we found someone very quickly. It was great. And then we quickly found out that these people are, we should have done a better job at doing our due diligence. And then, you know, just the whole process of dealing with that and dealing with communications with them and getting personal phone calls, you know, and dealing with that. And then just like the filing as well, just like keeping good files. Like we went, our first three tenants, we went to court. We went to the residential
Um,
tenancy dispute resolution service. We didn't have all of our files handy. It was like screenshots of texts and stuff like that.
yeah.
And it was so unorganized. And it really woke us up to the fact that this isn't just like I'm going to buy a property and one day the tenant's going to pay off the mortgage and I'm going to be mortgage free on it and I'm going to have a mortgage free house. It was so much more than that. It's a business, and that was a big wake up call for us that we need to start putting in systems like a normal business would, and start putting in reserve funds and managing our cash flow better, and managing our file keeping better and our bookkeeping, so that whenever we need something or whenever something happens, it's all there, it's organized, and we can access it quickly.
Yeah, I think you touched on some really important points there. Like, number one, when you're getting an investment real estate, yes, it is real estate, but it's much more of a business than it is just property acquisition. It's so much more
Hmm.
than that. And that's very, very evident when you're in commercial, especially, which I transact in as well, but in residential as well. This isn't just, it's not a stock. It's not that you just buy it and then it appreciates and then you can cash it out whenever you want. It's not that. It is
No.
an actively managed business. So it's a
Hmm.
lot more than that. The paperwork, as you said, and the communication that you have. And when I'm speaking to especially new investors, something I really, really encourage them with, because they're looking at the expenses and the cash flow on this projected building. And they're like, oh, well, 10% is getting eaten away by property management. I'll just cross that out and manage it myself. And depending on their level of experience, if they're local, et cetera, like that, even if they want to manage themselves, I highly, highly, highly recommend that they at least use a property manager if they're brand new to at least do a one-time tenant placement.
Hmm.
Because in my opinion, from what I've seen, I would argue that that screening and placement process very well may be the most important step that you take on investment real estate.
It's the little bit of control that you have over the situation. That's one thing I learned, is that like once a tenant takes possession, you give up all control
Mm-hmm.
because they have all the rights as a tenant now. And in order for you to gain control of the property back or possession of the property, you have to go through the process. And it's a fair process. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's to protect tenants from being taken advantage of. So you want to be super, super careful that when you do hand over the keys and you hand over possession of the property, just know that it might take 3 to 6 months to get that possession back. So there's little things that you can control in those early stages, and making sure that you've done your diligence and you've collected all the necessary documents, so
Mm-hmm.
that if you do need to take possession back or get control of the property back, it's a little bit easier, right? And these are just those systems that I was talking about earlier, and that file keeping that I was talking about. Like there's so many little things, little tips and tricks and stuff that you can do in order to kind of mitigate that and mitigate your losses,
Yeah.
if things do go sideways. They don't always, but when they do.
What I tell people with tenant placement is like, imagine your car that you have, it's probably somewhere between 30 to 60 grand. If your sister or your best friend asked to borrow the car for the weekend, there'd probably be a little bit of hesitation, probably, right?
Yeah.
And that is somebody that you know very well, and it's just for the weekend, and there's still like what if you get in a car crash or you scrape something, right?
Yeah.
But that's only 30 to 60 grand. When you're in investment real estate, it can be anywhere between, 175 for a condo all the way up to 600K for a suited house in the West End. So you're trusting a complete stranger. You do not know who they are. You know their credit score and their employer, not for the weekend, but for potentially years.
Yeah.
And how do you think they're going to treat your home for those
Yeah.
years? And then the relationship that you have with them on top of that. So I think that's something people don't really think about too much of, like, this is a big deal. Who you are trusting a stranger to protect and maintain your $500,000 asset or however much that house is.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really push that screening process a lot.
And I just want to say, just, and I think you agree with me that we're not demonizing tenants at all.
No.
It's just like the rare occurrences, and you're like, oh God, that something will happen, and you're like, why did I not just do that? They could have saved me so much money, or could have saved me so much time by just having a little bit better organized, right?
Well, and a good
And
example of that would be something as simple as doing a move-in inspection. Most
mhm,
new people don't know to do that. That's like a professional level, oh, I have to do this
yeah,
thought. So if you don't do the move-in inspection and then when they're moving out, you find a nick in the wall, now you're blaming the tenant for it and you want to take off some of the money from their damage deposit. They're like, what the hell are you doing? This nick was here when I got here. Why are you pinning this on me? So not having proper documentation, that caused a problem that you're pinning on them, but it's actually not theirs to deal with, it's yours, and that can turn into a dispute, right? So,
absolutely. And
yeah.
that's a dispute you're going to lose in court because you don't have proof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's not just for you, it's also for them. And as long as everybody is doing what they contractually agreed to do, we have zero problem. Nobody's a bad guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
With real estate investing, a lot of people I speak to, they kind of it's almost like clickbait. Like invest in real estate and you can get $500 a month cash flow on one property. And then I have clients coming to me that are brand new and they're like, "Oh, well, I want to buy a property that gives me cash flow." And then I ask for cash flow expectations and I had this one person say they wanted $1,000 a month cash flow. I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, what kind of property are you looking at? Because that may or may not be, possible." And they wanted just a normal single family house, not a legally suited basement, around 400K that would cash flow $1,000 a month. And I just don't see that happening. So, because like I usually see cash flow numbers for a suited house, usually somewhere between 150 to maybe 500 on like a really, really cash flow positive one.
Mhm.
But those higher cash flows are usually in less desirable areas as well. And everybody wants the best of everything, but
Yeah.
they don't realize it's not that easy. You're asking for unicorns, and it's not just going to print money for you.
Yeah. It's the whole easy money thing is the whole gimmick is it's frustrating because I get so many people that reach out to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I wish like how come I didn't find you sooner? Like I joined this program over here. I wish I would have found you sooner because you're so much more like real and everybody else is just like saying that this is going to be so easy and that I can have this and all I have to do is join their program." And I do take a little bit of blame in that. I don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads and YouTube ads every month, and because of that, and I don't do the gimmicks. So I don't do the, make millions in real estate in 2025 nonsense. Because I want people to realize what it is, and I want to set realistic expectations, so they can set their goals accordingly. When you have these other expectations that are unrealistic, people have these audacious goals and then they get into it and they realize it doesn't work, then they just end up quitting. And it sucks. It sucks. But the reason why people do it and they throw those gimmicks and stuff out is because it sells.
Yep.
Everybody wants to get rich fast. Everybody wants to get rich now. Nobody wants to wait 15 years and do it the safely the right way. But my community tends to attract those types of people, and it's not as if they're like, no, no, I'm okay with doing it slowly. It's like they're no, I understand exactly what it is you're saying, Wayne. Thank you for showing me the math. Thank you for walking me through this. You know what I mean? I could quickly, your example of, the $1,000 a month in cash flow. I can tell you exactly which properties and which neighborhoods can get you that or what are going to be the closest. I can show the mathematics behind it.
Hmm.
And a lot of people appreciate that. But then there's the other people over there that are just like, don't worry about it. We'll show you how, and you can get into it now. So, um, you know, it's unfortunate that there's lots of, stuff like that out there, but I think that's always going to be the case in any industry that there's always that flashy stuff is always going to sell. But
And
if you're
I don't think that it's like the consumers are dumb for believing that. That's all that they've read. They've only seen the headlines of, as
right,
your example, $1 million in 2025, right? Like that's not because they are dumb. It's just because they haven't had additional education. They've only been reading headlines. So I think really providing that education of like that's what I did. I ran through the numbers. I'm like, let's play this out. Normal
yeah,
$400,000 house, you're gonna get this much on average. You're not even close to $1,000. But I think that a big reason why real estate investing is really catching on to kind of the masses now is in Canada, we are pretty limited with what we can do with investment income.
mhm,
So, like our TFSAs, they get tapped out at a certain amount, and our RRSPs as well. So, people are just looking for different ways where they can A, shelter their money, and then B, grow it. And as of right now, real estate is a very excellent vehicle to do that. And you kind of get rewarded for doing it too. Like you can write off the interest on your investment loan for your mortgage, but you
mhm.
can't on your principal residence. So I think it's just people are moving to the path of least resistance, and that's why it's becoming so popular right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could give you 100 reasons why I think real estate is amazing. I
Yeah.
literally just did a podcast episode on it this morning. So it's like fresh in my mind. And I wrote an article on it as well. I think real estate's amazing. It's compared to any other investments. that you put your money into, nothing even compares closely. The only thing that I would say compares would be crypto, but it's just a completely different game. And I love having that debate, but at the same time, it's just I feel like if I have that debate with someone, I just feel like it's not gonna end well. But the reason why I like real estate is you're not going to get nearly as good returns as you could get with some of those really fast growing currencies or commodities. However, I can tell you that like if you follow the systems that we teach, it's damn near impossible to lose money. And I think some people really appreciate that. I mean, everybody wants to get rich. They want to make lots of money. They want to create a better future for themselves and for their family and their families. But ultimately, they also want to do it and know they're not going to lose. So
Yeah.
if you can if you can accept the fact, a tried and true system that is a little bit slower, it's a little bit slower to start, but it will pick up over time, and as generations go, that it will compound and it'd be safe. If people could accept that, so many more people could build better lives for themselves and for their kids.
And you're a huge preacher of buy and holds, and I am as well. Of course, you can be very successful doing other strategies, but I myself am very biased towards buy and holds. And as we were saying, like stocks and real estate are different, but I know it's just money that, fluctuates and tracks. There are a lot of similarities. And I think if you look at S&P 500 or pretty much any blue chip stock, even if you bought it at the all-time high, let's say a 2008, and then the crash came right after, even if you bought it at quote unquote the worst time possible right before the crash, if you just held on to the damn thing,
Yeah.
we're at a new all-time high now.
Yeah.
So if you just hold on to it, you can really use time as kind of insulation for having, a negative cash flow property or a negative equity property. So if you can just lean on time, you don't have to be a guru. You don't have to have crazy calculations. You can just literally make a decent purchase that makes sense and just give it time. Just like
Yeah.
stocks, just give it time.
You got to think of it as a long-term thing. I mean, when I look at my real estate portfolio, and I teach this to people all the time, is that like my real estate portfolio is for my wealth. It's my wealth builder. It's for the
Mm.
future. This is not my get rich now thing, right? This is here for my retirement, for my kid, and if I have more kids, maybe my other kids, and then that's for the future. We that's why I keep all my cash flow in there. I keep it heavily insulated by cash flow and reserve funds so that nothing will ever impact it, regardless of what crazy things in the world happen. It's always going to be safe because I buy it right and I just plop it there and it's good, and it's going to keep on growing and growing. And then over time, as equity builds up, we can take the equity out and buy more and keep it growing. But when it comes to, living off of cash flow or creating a better life for ourselves right now, what I always teach people is like keep that there, but then borrow the equity and invest into other things that provide cash flow. Like that's what we did. We built
Yep.
it up to a sizable portfolio, then we borrowed the equity, and then we invested into businesses. And the businesses is what helped me exit my job back in 2020 during the pandemic. That's what it was. I was already building a business. I'd already invested in it. But when the
Hmm.
pandemic came and I was working like 5 hours a week, I'm just like, I kind of like this. And so I finally pulled the plug, but I pulled the plug to go and build my business, which paid me. I never ever touched my real estate portfolio. And I
So
think that
now
if
with
you can,
that, just to clarify, so like
mm,
you have real estate portfolio and there's equity built up in it. You aren't refinancing to pull the equity out. You're doing a HELOC, right?
HELOC or refinance, I personally like refinance
Oh,
better.
why is that?
Because you can borrow, there's limitations for HELOCs. You can only borrow up to 65%. With a
Oh, I thought it
refinance,
was
you can borrow.
80%. I've always heard that
No.
it's 80%. You have to keep at least 20% equity in the property
With the
minimum.
HELOC, they changed it a few years ago. You can only
I
borrow up to
didn't know
65.
this.
Yeah. So, which made refinancing much more appealing. So what you can refinance up to 80%,
Yeah.
but if you do a HELOC, you can only borrow up to 65.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, I look like an idiot.
No,
Um,
no,
that I never knew
there's so
because
many
in my
little
head,
nuances in this
why would
industry that
it?
like you can't know everything.
Yeah, because in my head, I was like, well, why would it make sense to keep refinancing that and bringing you down to 20% equity? So then you're pretty much front loading the interest every 5 years when you renew it. So you're not really paying down much equity, but you are pulling it out to use it elsewhere. But I was like, when you could
But
just
you're
pull the,
making higher returns from that. So it's like
yeah.
it's personal thing, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh, why wouldn't you just pull a HELOC against like leave 20%, pull the HELOC from the rest, and then keep the equity in there, but also kind of shift it elsewhere. But okay, well, 65% for HELOC, I guess. You taught me something. Yahoo!
Not a problem.
You mentioned that you kind of specialize in raising capital as well. I see kind of two sides to the coin working with investors. I see a lot of want to be investors that are want to be a working partner and then find somebody that would be the money partner in JV or do some form like that. But they don't have the experience and they hardly have any money at all.
Yeah.
So if they don't have the experience, like how can they leverage themselves to get into real estate without very much funds?
This sounds like a sales pitch, but it's not, I promise
Do
you.
it.
But get education. If you got a little bit of money, I think all of your money should go into education because it's my personal belief, and it's the truth, is that real estate joint ventures, raising capital is inevitable. You're never going to have enough money to buy all the properties that you want or need. So maybe, yeah, you can save up for 5 years and get your first down payment. Or maybe you got a little bit of money right now. But what happens when you finally buy that one property? Well, you're going to have to go right back to square one, which is learning how to raise capital. And in order to be the type of person that people trust with giving money to, you need to become an expert. So do you want to start learning now or do you want to start learning 5 or 10 years from now when you finally do run out of money? You might as well start learning now and start working on it and building it up and marketing yourself. I talked about marketing and sales, marketing yourself as the type of person that someone could trust to invest their hard-earned savings or equity with.
Hmm.
So it's my personal belief that if that's the case and it's inevitable, I don't even know why you're spending any money on your first property. If the next nine are going to be with joint ventures, why not put all of your money into, not all of it, but you know what I mean? Like put a significant investment into becoming the guru, the guy, the girl that everybody knows, that everybody trusts, so that the way it's so much easier for them to send their money to you now as opposed to later. It's common sense to me, and I understand that it sounds a little pitchy, but it's like, hire me, hire someone else. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like I'm not doing it for that, but it's the truth. Is that not logical to you? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I speak to so many people. They're like, hey, I've always wanted to invest in real estate and I know this is where I want to be, but I don't have the money right now. And I would work really hard. Like, give me all of the work as the working partner. I am eager to do it. I want to do it. I want to learn it, but I just don't know where to go. I'm like, well,
mhm,
you don't really know anything right now. Like you have a general idea, but like I wouldn't trust you with my money to invest in because like you haven't proven yourself,
yeah,
right? And you don't have to prove yourself with capital. You can absolutely prove yourself with your connections that you have or your expertise. But on the flip side of that money partner and working partner, very often people talk about like 50-50 equity.
yeah,
And then of course the money partner, all they do is put the money in. They don't touch the property at all. Don't tell me about it unless we have to sell it pretty much. And then the
yeah.
working partner is the one who's essentially acting like the property manager and running the business. Now, I was speaking to a gentleman and he was like, hey, I have the capital and I want to find a working partner. And everybody at this event seems to be a working partner, but
Mhm.
why should I pretty much gift them 50% equity of this property? This is special money of mine that I have grown myself. Why would I just give them 50% equity of the property? Like,
Yeah.
can you talk to some specific activities that working partners do that most people wouldn't know about at first glance?
I was thinking of an analogy while you were saying that, and I'm going to butcher it, so I'm probably not going to, but it just reminds me of like the story of like, when someone says that, it costs like $5,000 to do something, and they're like, okay, well, tell me how much your hourly rate is or how many hours it's going
Yeah.
to take you. And they won't say it, but then they'll be like, oh, it's going to take me 2 hours. So, oh, how do you justify charging $2,500 an hour? It's because of the years and years and years of like all of my experience and everything else is why it comes to this. And he's like, I could drag it out over X amount of hours if you'd like, but you probably want this done. And that's what you're paying for, is to get it done and get it done right now. So similarly, like, yeah, I mean, a lot of days, like I don't do anything with any of the properties that I have partners on. And then, it'll go months where it'll be nothing. But then when it does happen, I know how to deal with it immediately. And it's all the systems that we put in place. It's all those, organization of files. It's all the experience and the things that we put in place from the beginning on day one that prevented all of those fires from happening. And then when fires do inevitably do happen, because things happen that are outside of our control, we're able to jump on it right away and extinguish it and mitigate the losses. So, there's tons of different things that we do, like bookkeeping, organizing the bookkeeping, we organize in the file systems, we collect the rents, we find the tenants, we manage the tenants, we do all the contracts, we bring all the contracts. We and that's kind of like the day-to-day like management of like the administrative work, but then there's also like the expertise. I mean, yeah, you said that one person they could definitely go and just buy a property themselves. Do they know what the best properties are in that market or what market they should be buying in? Because it's very simple for me. I can just be like, I can tell you exactly what the top three property types are in what neighborhoods. I can tell you exactly how much cash flow they make and what the ROIs are because I know it, because I keep up on it, and I check in on it every 2 to 3 weeks based off the prices and then the market rent changes. And I also know the tenant profiles. I know exactly who we should be trying to attract and who I need to market to attract the right type of tenant for this type of property that enables us to be able to have the probability of them staying for the longest time because we don't want turnovers and the least amount of repairs and maintenance. Like when you buy a property, I'm focusing on the things like the furnace. How old is it? Like, is it 20 years old? And there's a possibility we might have to replace it in the next 5 to 10 years, and the costs of that, and reverse engineering that, and how much it's going to take out of the cash flow. These are all just like expert things that, a good working partner knows that they're not going to like put out on their resume. You know what I mean? But that's what you're giving up half of the profits for, is security and assurance to know that the best foot is being put forward and we have mitigated all of our risks. So if you were to do that, the other, potential partner, can you say with certainty that you'd be able to have that much assurance that you'd be able to perform that well?
Yeah.
Probably not. You'd probably learn a few lessons along the way, but at what cost? You
Well,
know
and
what
I
I
think
mean?
the other way to look at it as well, from the money partner side, like you're thinking like, oh, but I put all of the money in, so
Mhm.
I should get all of the money out. But nah, man. Let's say it's a $500,000 house. You put 100K in for 20% down, and then the mortgage gets paid off, plus you're getting cash flow month over month. And
Yeah.
then your 100K turns into a minimum of 250K. If you get zero appreciation, you just get in what you get out, of course, realtor fees and stuff like that. But just
Mhm.
in general, for not doing anything, you put 100K in, somebody else takes care of it. They're kind of like your portfolio manager, pretty much. And then when it's time to cash out, you just collect.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do anything besides the initial investment.
What I've learned, and I learned this very early on when I started raising capital, was that it's not about trying to convince people, it's about trying to find the right people. That's it. And
Mm,
if you can just remember that, that's the most important thing for raising capital. It's not about convincing people. If someone wants to do it or they can do it, they will do it, and that's fine. I don't want to sit here and try and convince someone that I'm better than them, right? Because nobody wants to hear that. So focus on the people who are best suited for something like that, because there's people out there that like real estate, that want to invest in it, but they just don't have the time to learn. That maybe they're not capable of learning. Maybe there's some uh, lack of words, but just capability issues of being able to be the type of person that can. Maybe they don't have the confidence. So when you think about that, you think about like a pieces of a puzzle, or jigsaw puzzle, where like you have someone who has the money, who has the mortgage, that wants to do it, but they're missing a piece of the puzzle, which is confidence and assurance and certainty to be able to do it effectively, to make sure that it's profitable and it has the least amount of risk possible. You are that missing piece. You are that piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
hmm
And what you need is what they have, which is the money and the mortgage, right? So it's better to put those two pieces together, right? Those are two pieces that will configure together. You just need to find that other piece. But
Yeah.
if you're trying to find somebody else who like thinks that they can, or um, who has money, but like they're kind of on the fence and they want to be involved, those pieces don't work. They don't last. And that's something, another thing I learned along the way, is that like I picked up a couple joint venture partners that were very much like, okay, I want to learn from you. I want you to teach me. I want to be involved. I want to go down and I want to collect the rent checks and stuff. And in my mind, I'm like, we don't collect rent checks. Everything's on e-transfers. I got all these systems in place. No, no, we don't do that. Okay, well, I see you paying $25 to get the grass cut for this, for the common areas there. No, no, I'll go and do that. I'm like, no, you're not going to do that. I'm going to pay the $25. I don't want you there. So that person there is a real handful, and there's nothing wrong with that. They want to learn, but it actually slows our business down, and it's a lot more work for me to have to
Interesting.
change my systems. And so I
That's
personally
for
don't like
you,
people like
and you're
that.
kind of like you're an expert investor. That's how I would categorize you. So for you, it's not worth it for that person to go there and mow the lawn. But for like a newbie investor, like a newbie money investor, they might feel a lot of comfort of like, oh, my partner Bob goes there once a week, has eyes on it in person once a week and mows the lawn. So like as you said, it's not right or wrong. It's just for you that wasn't the right fit, but for somebody else, that'd be an ideal managing partner.
But then Bob starts looking in the window and Bob sees, that it's a little bit messy. Well, guess what? Rental
None of your
units get
business.
messy. I don't know. Go look in my main floor right now. It's probably messy. We just got it cleaned on Wednesday, but I can guarantee there's stuff all over the counter because people are busy. I'm busy. I'm a well-organized person. I'm very, I do pretty well, but even in my house is like it's gonna be messy and there's laundry all over the bed and stuff. So yeah, houses are gonna be messy. If Bob goes down there and sees that, Bob's gonna be like, "Well, it's messy in there and they're not taking care of the place." And then it's like there's more of that. And then what it
Mm,
ends up creating is this. And you don't want that in a partnership. What you want is you want to have the working partner and the money partner, and then you draw a big line right in between. Because once they start crossing over that, then you start having debates. And it's like, well, we should be doing this, we should be doing this, and then you have to justify your systems and your procedures, right? And your standard operating procedures because you're the educated one and they're the uneducated one. So you're constantly like trying to justify what it is that you're doing. What it ends
yep.
up doing is creates bad partnerships. And the best partnerships are the ones where everybody knows their role. This is my role. This is my role. And those will last for 10, 20 years and they're harmonious. But when people start sharing things, that's when debates and disagreements start happening. And that's when joint ventures go sideways. And you don't want that.
So this there's like three different limbs that attach to this question that I have in my head, which
Okay.
is I get asked this all the time. I'm a new real estate investor and I need to find a partner to JV with before we can purchase a property. But is it worth me finding a stellar property and then presenting it to potential partners, or should I be finding my partner before finding a property? What do you think in this situation I should do? Partner or property first?
Well, it depends. Residential or commercial?
Res.
Residential, if you find a property, you're going to be locking it up for 2 weeks on conditions. Um, then now I got three different ways I can answer this question too, because I have personal
Hmm.
opinions. But 2 weeks is not enough time in order to find a joint venture partner, get them on board, and get them to secure a financing commitment letter. So it's like it's not realistic. And I agree with it conceptually. Like in theory, it makes sense, lock it up. And if you find the deal, you'll find the money. I get it. But like 2 week time span is not enough, or time frame is not enough time in order to get all of your ducks in a row. Because you'd have to literally get a joint venture partner on day one and get them working towards getting financing, which joint venture partners are not, they don't work that quickly on their first deal. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, $100,000. I got it. Yeah, I'm going to call up your mortgage broker right now, and we're going to do a home inspection. They don't work that quickly. So, if it was like a multifamily property and you had, a longer conditions period, yeah, it's a little bit more flexible in that sense. Residential, not so much. But the other part of what I was going to say was that like you're locking up a property with a seller, whether that be a multifamily or residential property, you're locking them up for 2 weeks and they can't accept any other offers or entertain any other offers. And it's all pending on you being able to find someone like money from a person. Well, and the likelihood being so incredibly low, that's kind of a shady way of doing business because now you've prevented that person from being able to obtain their outcome, which is trying to sell their property, get their money out, moving on with their life. So personally, on a personal level, I don't like it because I think it's shady. And for that, I always just tell people just to go out there and just start having conversations and networking and talking about it. There's lots of different ways to really build trust with people. I've got a million different ways of marketing yourself as an expert. And, the first step is really becoming an expert, becoming a guru or a master of something, whether that be long-term buy and holds or your market or your particular strategy like rent to owns or whichever, right? Become a master of that and then just start showcasing it, really just marketing yourself as that person. You're going to attract people who are going to be interested. I'm not going to lie, the first one or two deals are going to be very difficult because people are going to be like, you don't have a track record. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, because I started with nothing, and also from many of my students and many people that I know, everybody struggles with it and everybody gets it. It's about the determination and the tenacity to stick with it. And the people that do stick with it, that stay on it, whether that be 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, whatever, if you stick with it, eventually someone will give you a chance, right? And
I
if you can
think
be
you
patient.
answered that perfectly. Like perfectly. I can't believe we haven't had like a one-to-one long conversation before. You're like hitting all of my boxes that I agree with as well. As a realtor, I always advise that people get their partners before properties. Properties pop up, they're really quick, and then they go. But then more will come up if you're just patient. Whereas people, like you could argue that partnering with someone, it is a marriage. It's a business marriage, right?
Mhm.
So you really have to take that into consideration. Unless you're very, very experienced and you have a high risk tolerance and you're okay signing on with someone random because you've done so many of these, you know how it's going to go already. But especially if you're new, it's going to take you a long time to warm up to each other and trust each other with this kind of commitment. So what I tell people is if you are planning to partner, you can reach out to one of these mentorship groups that are highly recommended and work with Calvin Realty, or just focus on finding a partner first. Because even if
Mhm.
I find you the perfect property tonight and I send it to you, the perfect property, the unicorn you've been waiting for,
Yeah.
you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You can't,
And
you can't.
you're gonna get so frustrated with it too.
Yeah.
Is that like you've
And
got this amazing property, you're trying to sell it to someone, like convince them to do it, and they're like, oh, I don't know, timing's not right, and it's just gonna discourage you. And I'm glad you brought up the realtor part of it as well, because that's one other part that I don't like is that you're also wasting your realtor's time
mm,
and locking it up and them doing all that hard work, and you don't even have all your ducks in a row. It's not a good way of doing business.
for me,
But
it's not even like a you're gonna waste my time perspective. It's like you guys, you aren't ready yet. Like you aren't ready. It's not that, I don't want to put time into you. It's like you aren't ready. This is only gonna end in failure.
mhm,
Like that's the way I see it. And then on the multifamily side, I actually have a way where I like force people to do this because on the
yeah,
multifamily side, I insist on people getting incorporated. I
yeah,
insist on it. There's multiple reasons for that, but I think a huge portion of that is even if it's you and your sister that are creating a corporation together to buy an 8 unit, let's say, you and your sister need to incorporate and write the bylaws and have that conversation of this is my lane, this is what I control, this is your lane, this is what you control. And that has nothing to do with me as the realtor. I don't
yeah,
I don't care about that. You figure out what you want to do. But you guys should have a plan on who's doing what because I'm not just in this for the transaction. I want to see you succeed. And you're not going to succeed unless you have a plan. So I kind of forced my clients to make a plan with each other before I even go shopping with them. And I very well could say, oh, here's the perfect property. You and your sister are going to buy it. Yeah, let's just do it so I can get my commission and move on.
right.
But then it's going to turn into a shit show. And my worst fear as a realtor is a client coming back to me, either a primary home buyer or investor, and saying, Megan, what did you let me buy?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I force people to figure that out before I shop properties for them, even though it's not really my business. I just want to make sure that they have completed the right steps.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also conscience as well. It's the same thing with me. Like, and people sometimes when people come up to me and they'll be like, "I got this amazing deal, and can you look through it with me?" And
Yeah.
I just sit there and I'm just like, "Do I tell them the truth?" Because like they're so excited, they really want this, and there's this weird conflict as well. Maybe in both of our positions, because I'm not a realtor, but um, you know. Realtors don't have fiduciary rights as far as like telling someone what a good investment is and what it isn't a good investment. And people come to me and they ask me, is this a good deal, not a good deal? I have this like weird thing. There's like sometimes at the end of the day, someone's decision to invest in what they want to invest in is their decision. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm just here to guide. I'm just here to
Yep.
lay it all out on the table. At the end of the day, you pull the trigger and you choose. right? It's the same thing with the realtors. Like it's not our responsibility to tell people what to invest in. And in fact, I never tell anyone what to invest in. I just lay it all out. I'll poke as many holes in it as possible. I'll talk about all the upsides, talk about all the downsides.
Yeah.
You make the decision. Not every deal is literally going to be 100% like check boxes, like, checked out boxes. There's always going to be something, right? And at the end of the day, you choose, right? And but there's this conscious thing is like, "Grr," like I just want to tell them that they could do slightly better. You know what I mean? It's a weird spot to be in. But at the end of the day, whether you make, a deal that's like 100%, like 90% or 80% or 60%, you're still way further than doing nothing. Right.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I believe in, is that, like, regardless, like some people will buy certain types of properties and I just shake my head. I'm like, that is, in my mind, I'm like, that's the worst investment ever. But at the end of the day, like, they're still going to be way further ahead than if they didn't buy anything,
Yep.
right? So as long as they follow the systems, they follow the 5% rule, like you talked about earlier, and they follow the fundamentals, you're gonna make money, right? And it's not really our part to say, which is the best and which isn't the best, right? We also don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I approach it as well. I don't feel like I sell anybody anything. I just provide information and then I leave it to you to
Mhm.
decide if it's worth it to you or not. And something as simple as pulling comps, like comparable
Yeah.
properties. There are absolutely realtors out there that will cherry pick comps so that you feel like you're getting it for a good deal, but they chopped off the bottom half of the sold comps that are 300K and under. They're only showing you
Mhm.
300K and up. So you're like, oh, 350, this is a killer price, right? Absolutely, that happens. You cannot tell me that some realtors out there don't do that. I just give you all of the information. I was like, hey, I'm not cherry picking it. If this ever comes back to me, I don't want it to seem like I was excluding information to, influence you to go in one direction. So I'm just going to give you all the information. You sell yourself on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the right thing to do. That's called being a good person. And you know
Hmm.
what? You're going to be around in years from now, and that other person's not. That's the thing, is that I've learned in this industry. There's a lot of shady people, and just be super careful, guys. Just be really careful, because I've seen lots of people come in really hot, really flashy, and then they're gone just as quickly. And it's a revolving door constantly. And I try and steer people away from the really, really bad ones as much as I can, but just um just know that being a good person, it does pay, and you'll last a lot longer in this industry. Megan's going to be here 15 years from now. Those other shady people that were just, focusing on the next commission, they're not going to be here, right? And that kind of business, word travels. It's a pretty small community. It's big, it's across Canada, but it's a pretty small community. Word travels.
Yeah, that's actually something I've been noticing because I only got licensed, I think, in April 2024, so just a little over a year now. And when I first started, I was going to all these networking events, and the world was so big, I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody. And now that I'm going to events still, I'm like, whoa, my world is shrinking. Like I know that I know them. What? Like your
Yeah.
world does shrink, and yeah, you do have conversations where somebody throws a name out, and you're like, oh, you know that guy too?
But don't be naive as well. I mean, like, oh, I don't want to go negative. I wasn't planning on going negative.
Do it. Do it.
No rants, no rants. We're at the end of the podcast. No rants.
All right.
I worry for the community. I
Mm.
worry. There's just, oh man, so many bad things that have happened over the years. It's just like that could have been prevented, had I said something. You know what I mean? I
I
can
think you need to be a little bit easier on yourself, Wade. You're like, oh,
I get myself
I'm
in a lot
mad
of
that I
trouble.
can't duplicate myself and I can't provide information to everybody because if they had talked to me rather than this guy, they would have been in a better place. But you can only
Yeah.
control so much, Wayne.
Yeah, but kind of back to what you're saying about that one client that said, I really want to find someone to partner with. I want to be the money partner. I want to find a working partner. It's like, oh, God, as soon as he said that, it's like it was almost like a lottery, in that room. It's like, oh, everybody's like, what? Someone's got money? Like, yeah, me, me,
Exactly,
me,
yeah.
me, me. I think for someone who has money, that is looking to partner with someone, or someone who doesn't have money, but they're looking to partner with someone, maybe providing service or stuff like that, just really do your diligence. Don't just jump on the first person that says the right words in that moment, the fastest talker or the most confident or best dressed. Really do your diligence and ask around, not just one or two people, but 100 people, and find out. Because when people have been around for a year or two or three, you start to hear stuff about them, and and there's just this industry is there's a lot of fakers. You know what I mean? There's a lot of talkers, and I hate seeing people get manipulated into deals and stuff like that when with people that aren't experienced, right? And if you've
Hmm.
got money and you want to pass it off to a working partner, find a working partner who's been around for at least 5 or 10 years. That and you can ask other people who have done deals with them. You know, it's so scary when I hear about people that have money in this industry that are looking for people, and I just know it's going to end poorly. And there's just so many stories, right, of it happening before. So really, just ask around. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, that reminds me, I interviewed a long time ago Alex Boileau, and he's a realtor here in Edmonton
Hmm.
for res and commercial. And I asked him similar questions like, hey, how do you prevent yourself from being fooled? Because this industry, there's a lot of snake oil. There
Hmm.
absolutely is. There's a lot of great people, don't get me wrong, but
There,
there is some
yes.
snake oil
Yeah.
mixed in. And he's like, all you can do is educate yourself. That's the only way you're gonna know who's bullshitting you or not.
Hmm.
Just educate yourself. Otherwise, you won't know. And then I asked him, as far as like investment advice goes, what would be your number one piece of investment advice? And he said, don't just complete due diligence on the property, complete due diligence on your partner. That is
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Alex has been around for a very long time. As soon as he said his name, I knew his name. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a very
Alex,
small
what a great
community.
guy.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I can put 10 people associated with his name and who he associates with and stuff like that. So it's yeah, after a while you start to get to know names and who associates with who and stuff. And if that is the business that you're going to be in is networking and doing deals with other types of people, it is really important to know everyone, right? But you can also just completely just stay in your own lane as well. And I know lots of people and a lot of my students, it's kind of what I teach them. It's like, unless you
Really?
absolutely need to, just stay in your own lane. Because you're going to get in trouble when you start hanging out with other people and doing, creative stuff and working together and stuff. My belief is that if you can do it alone, do it alone. If you can do it alone. And I know some people are like, go alone and you go at this pace, but go with somebody else and you can get there so much faster. Yeah, but if you really want to control your business and be in total control of it, which I prefer, try and do it yourself. And then just pick and choose. If you can't do it, then okay, I will partner with someone or I will bring in this person, but only when you need to. That's my personal belief, is because
See, that's such a good point because this is something I go over in my head for myself and investing. Like personally for me, I have a family member who's done very well in real estate, and he said, "Hey, Megan, if I never partnered with anybody, I'd be a couple $1 million richer." So whenever I like hear like, "Oh, Megan, maybe we could partner with this," in my head, I just hear his voice saying like, "Don't do it, just do it on your own." Do I just have trust issues or could I just do it on my own? It would take longer, but it would be 100% like belonging to my husband and I. I don't know. There's not a definitive answer for it, but
I think by default, do it on your own, but don't be afraid to adapt and bring people in if you need to. I think it should be by default, you should always do it on your own if you can,
mm,
right? But don't let that be the reason why you don't go and buy more properties or you don't reach your goals. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Kind of back to what I was saying earlier about like just the more people you bring in, the more potential there is for conflict. And when there's conflict and debates and disagreements, that's when there's the possibility of things starting to go sideways. And when you get put in those types of situations, we talk about keeping properties for the long term. Well, if you get into a partnership and 6 months in, the person's disagreeing with you and you guys have a falling out and you sell the property, well, now you're probably selling it for $5,000, $10,000 less. You got to pay realtor fees of 15 grand. You got a big old mortgage penalty. So now you're going to lose like 40 grand because you sold it 6 months in when the whole plan was to keep it. You make your money in the long term, right? So don't let that silly little thing be the reason why, it didn't work out. So I think partnerships are great when they're necessary, but you really have to like find the right person. The person that's just like, "Hey, I really like this. I don't want to do anything." All of my partners now are like they're literally that and they say those words. Actually, I just partnered with someone just recently, a new joint venture. And that's literally what he said. And I remember explaining something to him and I was over explaining it. And he's like, you figure it out. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I got too much stuff on my plate. You deal with it. And I'm like, that's exactly who I want.
Mm,
Because they trust me. They know that I got all of this figured out, right? And that's the perfect partnership is one person over here, one person over here, and a big line in the middle. That's how you have lasting relationships. The opposites attract.
what about, is it important to find somebody that's financially compatible with you? Because one of my like fears would be like, okay, I partner with Bob and we buy this place and then like I'm disciplined with my finances, so I'm planning to let this girl ride for
Mhm.
25 years, right? But Bob, I don't know, has some kind of emergency or something. He needs the cash, and he's like, Megan, we need to sell now. And I'm like, man, no, that's not what we agreed to.
Mhm.
But yeah, like when you're partnering with people, are you looking at each other's finances?
Yes, but I'm also setting clear expectations when
Mm.
we review the joint venture agreement. It's a pretty common one right there. Is like, what if they want out?
Yeah.
And we got a great joint ventures workshop that we did with Barry McGuire back last year. And if anybody's interested in that, just send me a DM and I can send you the link for that to purchase it. But joint ventures it really is. It's all about being proactive. It's all about making sure that you address all of the potential things that could go wrong on day one, put it all in the contract, review it with both parties, right? Make sure you guys are all in agreement that if this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. It's all laid out in 36 some odd pages, sometimes more. And you've had those conversations so that in the future, if anything does ever happen, we've already had that discussion. So I set clear expectations for that example right there that we won't allow that. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? If you can't invest this money confidently and know that it's going to sit in here for, say, 10 years, if you feel like you're going to need it out later, then we shouldn't do this because
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Because that comes at a detriment to me. That comes at a detriment to this deal. We're going to lose money. I'm going to work for free for the next couple of years because you had to get your money out. Because if we sell it, we're going to either lose money or break even. So that means that I worked for free. That's not fair to me. And I don't want to do this deal if that's the case. So if you feel like you don't have enough finances to be able to cover a situation like that, then I don't recommend doing this deal.
It's almost like writing a prenup while you guys are still in love.
It
It's
is a
like,
prenup.
yeah, we'll write a prenup
Yeah.
while we still love each other and have compassion for each other. So
Yeah.
if the time comes that it falls apart, we're enforcing basically the boundaries that we agreed to while we were still both being civilized.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I've
exactly
never
what
I've
it
never heard
is.
anyone call it a prenup before. That's a good one. I like it. But I've
Yeah.
always seen the fact that it's so much like a relationship. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's so much like a marriage. And you really do have to address all those things and you need to keep it professional. And yeah, it's I think that just being proactive and addressing those things ahead of time is the way to go about doing it. That's how you do it. And you find the right person, right? Just like marriage.
Just like marriage, you never know who's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all of my questions for you. Do you have any final notes for anybody listening?
Oh gosh, you know me. I can talk about real estate and all
Yeah.
different strategies and stuff.
We could be
To be
here
honest,
all day, Wade. Yeah, we could
honestly,
be here all day.
yeah, we truly could. And I love talking about all things. I didn't even know that we were going to go in the direction of joint ventures today, which is great.
Me
I love
neither.
joint ventures. I love raising capital and I love marketing. Um, and marketing and sales. Yeah, joint ventures. That's the final note that I'll say as well. That for the people that are like really intimidated by joint ventures, maybe you heard a lot of things that we said today, and you're like, wow, this sounds really cool. I want to do that. And maybe then you get a little intimidated by it, by like, why would someone ever want to do that? Or, how do I go about doing this? It is the best way I can describe it is straight up marketing and sales. You are marketing yourself as an expert, as a master of something, and the type of person that someone can trust. And then at the end of it, it's just a matter of just sales. It is a little, you're going to have to make that closing line. You're going to have to figure out what all those things are that are preventing them from saying yes and address them in the most calculated way. And then have that impactful emotional moment for them to say, okay, yes, I'm in. It's kind of like selling a car.
Yeah.
I don't like the salesy, sleazy side of it, but at the end of the day, some people just need a little push at the end. You know what I mean? They need to hear that right thing to know that, okay, this person's got me. So
Hmm.
when you're thinking about how to be successful in joint ventures, it really is just getting a good education on marketing and sales, right? And being a good person as well.
Yeah, I think my summary for this episode is while we were talking about how real estate can be a mixed bag, there's some bad mixed with the good. Like
Mhm.
overall, both Wayne and I truly believe in real estate being a very viable investment vehicle. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this industry if we thought it was if it was crooked.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we were just talking about, kind of the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see in the headlines and you don't become a millionaire in 1 year and that, kind of adjust your expectations and realize how many layers there really is to it. It's not passive,
Yeah. Yeah. But it's worth it.
but
It's
it's
worth it.
worth it. If you
I
do
think
it right, it could absolutely be worth it.
with the right expectations from the beginning, with the expectations that, hey, this is going to be a little bit of work. I'm going to have to really work on myself. I'm going to have to really, clean myself up and make myself marketable. And I'm going to have to learn a lot about real estate investing. But if you do all those things and you're like, okay, this is a 15-year game, and you set that target, then you'll definitely reach it. But if you try and get it done in 12 months or 6 months or something like that, those are when people burn out because they have the expectation that it was going to happen, and they're like, oh crap, that didn't work. I'm going to try something else. So it's that's why I'm so serious about really just like giving it all away for free, just really explaining that, hey, it's not as fun and exciting as everybody says, which by the way, to my detriment for my business, that's a very hard pitch when the other person over here is like, oh, it's amazing, don't worry about it. Like it's a very hard pitch, and I'm always losing. Like I'm losing tons of market share, I'll say that for sure. But it's the right thing to do, and the right people will find it. And I find that the people that do find us, set those expectations right from the beginning, and they actually do succeed, right? And that's what I want. I want people to actually succeed. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, so great. I'm so glad we got to connect.
Yeah.
If people are looking to reach out to you directly, how can they do so?
They can send us an email at info@reimasters.ca. I'm also all over social media as well. You can shoot me a DM. I'm a little slow on DMs these days, but some days you might catch me when I'm good. But email and DMs is the best way to reach out. And if you want to learn a little bit more about us and what it is that we do and what it is that we teach, and you really just want to get to know us really well, listen to the Real Estate Investing Morning Show.
It's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really good one. Yeah, I really like it. Yep.
We're creeping up on 1,000 live episodes.
Yeah,
We do
you
it
are.
live. Yeah, we do it live every weekday morning at 6 a.m. You don't have to join live if you don't want to, but it's really cool because if you do, you get free coaching. You can ask any questions you want. We'll answer them live on the show. Or you can just listen to the recordings on Spotify, iTunes, but we cover everything because everyone has questions about everything. And I like that you're gonna really get to know us because there's no mask at 6
Yeah.
a.m. We're tired. We just woke up. Like we can't fake it. You know what I mean? We are who we are. And what you hear and when you meet us, you'll realize that's exactly who we are. And I like that. I like that it gives people an idea or a good understanding of who we are and how authentic we are. And then, if you're interested in coaching, then reach out to us. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed this, and I love what you're doing. I love this podcast. I've listened to many of your episodes.
Really? Oh
And
my God.
yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I love what you're doing with your business as well. And I'm excited to continue to watch you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Wayne. I thought this was awesome. And you're actually the first person that reached out to me asking to be on my podcast. So that's really cool of you, and not seeing me as a competitor, but seeing us as partners in the same field. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Wayne.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you again to Wayne for joining me this episode. Isn't that so nice to listen to two people in real estate talk about real estate without sugarcoating it? I think we need a lot more conversations like this so people are fully informed before they take on this endeavor of investing. If you're looking to reach out to Wayne directly, you can do so with the information in the description below. And if you've made it this far, you're obviously committed, so just take it one step further and like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation and that you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.